Hi there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Tracey Gifford. I am happy to be sharing this time with you to be looking over the DPS school choice lottery information that we've put together. And hopefully this will help answer some questions for you as you navigate through the system and are making choices for your students for the upcoming school year 2019-2020. So this will take probably 20 to 25 minutes, and we'll give you some resources where you will hopefully feel more confident about how to submit your choice application in this year's school lottery. DSST participates fully in the DPS school choice lottery. And so what that means is if you are interested in having your student attend a DSST school, that you do need to participate in the school choice lottery that's administered by DPS. All of our seats that are assigned for the school year for 2019 and 2020 will be assigned through this lottery system. In this lottery system, you can choose up to 12 different schools. This is new this year. What I can tell you specifically is that about 80% to 82% of students do get their first choice in the lottery, but choosing up to 12 schools will give you additional flexibility and the ability to, if you're choosing some harder to choice schools, this should help you in placing your student at a school that you feel comfortable with them attending. The lottery assignments are based on school lottery priority lists and the number of seats available at schools. And so what that means at DSST is that our highest number of available seats are available at our transition grades. And so specifically, 6th grade has our highest number of seats. Our DSST campuses are 6 through 12, most of them having a 6th through 12th grade. Some are just a middle school at this point. And so you will see the highest number of seats available, so the highest chances of getting accepted and enrolled at a DSST school if you are choosing in at 6th grade. Our next highest transition grade opportunity is 9th grade, and then at many of our campuses we do offer seats in both 7th, 8th, and 10th grade as well. Requests do need to be finalized by February 15th at 4 p.m. via the DPS website. I'm going to show you where to find that information and how to submit your application. And then the best information we're having is that results will be available, and DPS will share that with you before spring break this year. Step 1 in making your choices are to do some research and select your schools. There's many ways that you can do this. You can research your schools on School Finder at dpsk12.org, and I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. You can also research schools in the hard copy DPS enrollment guide that you can find at any DPS elementary, middle, or high school. They're available all over the place. Also, these tend to be wrapping up around now, but attend open houses, tours, and expos, and those are offered through most of the schools and district-wide to gather information. One of the greatest resources I've found is to just ask your friends and neighbors about the schools they attend. Find out what they like, find out what's challenging, find out how their student feels about that, and then have your kids get into conversations with kids that they might not have a lot of contact with in general, just about school opportunities that they might not even know exist. And then finally, understanding the school priorities in the upcoming school lottery is very important. I'm going to show you that as well. So I just mentioned that one of the things you'll want to understand is the school priorities and how the lottery is administered. And so I will show you when we go to the DPS website in this webinar where to find this information, but I just wanted to review a few of these with you. These are screenshots from last year's priorities. They haven't really changed, and the current ones are on the DPS webpage. But specifically, this is the school choice priorities for Stapleton Middle School. And Stapleton Middle School is in the Greater Park Hill Stapleton enrollment zone. And so applicants for these grades for 6 through 8 are prioritized by first employees of our school at DSST, and then students who currently have a sibling attending that campus. We do that for continuity with families and to make things convenient for our families. And then students who reside in the Greater Park Hill Stapleton Middle School enrollment zone. So what that means is if you live in the Greater Stapleton Park Hill enrollment zone, that you have a higher choice opportunity of getting in the lottery than a student who lives just inside the district. So if you live in, say, Lowry, you would be considered a student in category 5, which is all other district resident students. If you happen to live in Aurora or, say, Commerce City, you would be in category 6, all other non-district residents. But if you did live in Greater Stapleton Park Hill and are wanting to attend Stapleton Middle School or Conservatory Green Middle School, these have the same priority structure, and you would have a higher chance of getting in, a higher priority level in the lottery than a student that does not live in that enrollment zone. Over here on the right, we have our Southwest Enrollment Zone, and this is DSST Henry Middle School. So very similar. We have students who are children of our employees, and then students who have a sibling attending, followed by students who live in the Southwest Middle School Enrollment Zone. The next grouping is students who reside in the West Middle School Enrollment Zone, followed by district residents and then non-district residents. So if you are wanting to attend DSST Henry Middle School and you live in that zone, which is called the Southwest Middle School Enrollment Zone, you would have a higher chance of getting into that school than a student that just lives in Denver County and does not live in that specific area of town. All right, so here I am on the DPS website. It's dpsk12.org. And I wanted to show you where you can find those school priorities. There's lots of great things on here, and it's going to be pretty important that you know how to navigate this website with regards to school choice. So if you're looking for the school priorities, you're going to go to Departments and Services and click that menu and click on School Choice and Enrollment. And when you do that, it will tell you that school choice is open. Apply here. That's because you need to do that prior to February 15th at 4 p.m. It's also going to let you do some searching by these different groupings. You can find a school, you can apply, and then register. Right now, I just want to show you where you're going to find the priorities, and then I will show you how to use those features. So then you're going to go under Resources, and here you will find the, well, maybe it's not there, actually, school admission priorities. So it's under enrollment and school choice. So you will click school admission priorities, and it's going to give you a definition of 3 different types of schools in DPS. You have a boundary school, with an enrollment zone, like I mentioned, with Greater Stapleton Park Hill, and then a non-boundary school. So for most of the DSST middle schools, with the exception of DSST Byers, they do reside in an enrollment zone. So just looking here at middle schools, if you wanted to see, for instance, what the boundary, so the Boys School of Denver is a charter school in a non-boundary situation. DSST Byers is a charter school in a non-boundary situation. I've already shown you the ones for the Greater Stapleton Park Hill neighborhood, but they could be found here. If you wanted to look at what Green Valley Ranch is, you would click on Far Northeast Middle School, and it will go ahead and open for you the priorities for that particular school, so you can understand what your child's chances are of being enrolled at that school. So this applies to all of Green Valley Ranch, middle and high school, and you can see that the priorities and how they're applied there. So back here on this main page of choice and enrollment, it gives you 3 ways, actually it gives you 3 different options here. And so if you look at Find, when we click on Find, it's going to give us 3 different ways to do a school search. So if you wanted to start with the first option, which is just to find your neighborhood school. So you can type in your address. I'm going to type in 2242 Eudora Street, which is in the Park Hill neighborhood. And I'm looking for a 6th grader, so click 6th grade and find, and it's going to give me a list of all the schools in that zone. So for my 6th grader in that school, I can choose between McAuliffe, Denver Discovery, Stapleton Middle School, Bill Roberts, and Conservatory Green. There's a couple things to note on here. It will tell you what the the performance level is of the school. So you'll see right here at Stapleton Middle School is green, and Conservatory Green Middle School is green. If you want to not necessarily see how far they are from your house, these are grouped by distance, how far they are from your house, you can just click on A to Z here, and it will give you a list of all the schools, starting with A all the way down to Z, that you could choose from. And here's a picture of the residents that I entered, and it will pinpoint all those schools for you. A lot of parents like to see how far it is away from your home, so that's a great place to start. So that's using Finder. I'm going to go back one screen. You can also pick it on interest. And so say you are looking for a 6th grader, and if I'm going to enter my address again, this is not my address, but it's just the house I picked. So, okay, let's look at 3100 South Federal Boulevard. So when I click on next, maybe I'm looking for a school that has uniforms, I like that, and has an arts or a music focus, and maybe has technology. So I'm going to click that I want it to show me the best fit. Or maybe, actually, let's pick on the location. I want it to show me how far they are from my home. And so it's going to give me a list of schools here. How I picked 3 things, and it's going to tell me how they matched against me. So it's going to give me a list of these schools. Right here is DSST Henry, which is green. It matched 3 out of the 3 things. College View Middle School. You can also search it from A to Z as well. And then there's one final way, if we go back to this page, where you can explore all schools in Denver. And then you can just type in the name of the school. So say you want to know where all of the DSST schools. If you just type DSST in that box, you will get a list of all of the DSST schools. And from there, you can click on what you're interested to know. So here we look at Byers Middle School, or Byers High School. It will list for me where it's located, what grades it serves. This will be updated. It is going to be a 9 through 12 next year. You can look at school performance. You can check out the demographics of the school. You can see what their school performance looks like. You can also look at application enrollment. You can see how many students were offered a spot there for 9th grade. So you might find this incredibly helpful if you find a school that maybe they only accepted 5 9th graders. It'd be very difficult to get into, so you want to maybe pick more choices. So we've talked about where you can do your research on finding a school. So the next thing, the step 2, is actually to go ahead and apply to that school. So step 2 is to go ahead and apply at up to 12 schools. And I'm going to show you how you would do that. So you're going to log into Schoolmint using your parent portal login or create a new one. And if you don't know what your parent portal login is, your current school can help reset that for you and help you get you the information that you need. Then step 2 is you're going to select and rank your school choices. You'll see a list of all the possible schools that are based on your student's grade. You'll get to see what this looks like in just a minute. You could also search for it based on the school name if you don't want to look through the list. You're going to answer some additional questions to determine your priorities at that school. So it's going to ask you things like I showed you earlier. Are you a child of a staff member? Do you have a sibling attending this school? Then you'll complete the application and make sure you do that no later and finalize it no later than 4 p.m. on Wednesday, February 15th. And you can always log back in up until that day and time and edit your student applicant if you change your mind or you want to add more schools to your choices. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like to go ahead and complete an application. So there's a couple ways to get directly to the application. One was down here under Departments and Services with School Choice and Enrollment, where I showed you that there was a find and then apply. Or you can just choose this orange button here right on the DPS homepage that says apply to a school. It will take you directly there. So when you click on that, this is where we just saw. So it's going to say school choice is open, apply here. Go ahead and click on this. And I have previously created a couple of students in my family profile. So what those students, when I created my family profile, it asked me to enter an address. I provided them with telephone contact information, and then I created 2 students in my account One is 12 years old and one is 10 years old. So, and then you can check your settings. So I had to create an email, I had to give them a phone number. And so what that did is it, if you haven't created a parent portal account previously, you will create those things and then you will go into selecting for your student. So here for Maya, she's going to be going into 6th grade, and Felipe is going to be going into the 5th grade. And it will also tell you what the projected school and the neighborhood school are for that particular student. So let's go ahead and start with Maya. So I'm going to click here, Add Student Application. It's for the 2019-2020 school year. So this is just making sure that you're on the right school year. Maya Martin, she is in 6th grade, and I'm applying her to 7th grade. So I am going to click Next right here. And it's going to give me a list of all of those schools. So that are choices for her. And there's multiple pages of this. So you can see all the schools. If you really only want to look at DSST schools, because we do recommend that you select more than one to improve your chances of getting in, you can put DSST in the search box and it will select them for you. So Maya is interested in attending Byers, Stapleton, and Cole. So it tells me how far they all from our residence there. So I clicked Next, and then you have to rank the schools. So I have to just say which school was first. So Maya has some friends at Cole, and I'd really like her to go to school there. So Cole would be our first choice, and maybe Byers would be our second choice, and Stapleton Middle School would be third choice. And then you click Next. It's going to ask a couple more of those priority questions that I mentioned. Do you have a sibling currently attending a school in DPS? Yes. Actually, this says no. It doesn't let me default. It has to do with how I set it up previously in the family profile. Is my child a full-time faculty or staff member child at DSS at a DPS school? So if you click yes, it will ask you what your name is and what the school is. If you're not, you just click no. And then it's going to ask me a few additional questions. It's like to verify my child's age, verify the current address, and then you can upload those documents. And it's going to ask me a few other questions. Does my student have a sibling who is attending a DPS school? Say no. Is your child presently under consideration for expulsion? No. Do they have an IEP? This is an individualized education plan. Put no. And then you can opt out of the free and reduced lunch program information, the application. And it will ask you if your student is eligible for free and reduced lunch. If they are, there are some schools that give priority acceptance in the lottery for students that do qualify. So I'm going to indicate that our primary English is language is English. My student is not Hispanic or Latino. My student is Asian. And then you must be the student's legal guardian to submit the choice application. Yes, I acknowledge I am that person. My name is Tracey Gifford. Here's today's date. And then it's pausing me and giving me a field that I haven't completed. So I'm going to go ahead and save the progress and then come back and problem solve that later because it's asking me about the siblings that I created. They're fake students, and so it's possible that I don't have the correct information in there and they're just not matching up. On this taskbar right here, you can see the process. So you've ranked the schools, we filled out the application, and the last step would be to confirm the application, and you will get an email that says you have successfully completed your application. I'm not going to get that right now. I don't want to put erroneous data into the DPS lottery system. specifically because these are not real students that I'm applying. But I had an error in here, so I want to go ahead and fix that. So step 3 is the results and the next steps that will happen. So the lottery results should be available before spring break. DPS has moved up the timeline a little bit to help families with that process. So we should have this information available before spring break. Next steps will then happen. So at DSST, that means that you're going to get information from us directly about when orientation, summer school, and registration will happen before school starts in August. If your student is waitlisted at one of our schools, you will be able to see what their wait list number is. And if you don't get your first choice in the lottery, you will get waitlisted at your first choice if they happen to get assigned to their second choice. Finally, round 2 of school choice will begin. So you can make additional applications during round 2 if you didn't include those schools on your original application. You can also move around some of the choices. So in case you want to move your 5th choice to number 2, you can do that if you find something else out about the school or in your research, or you find out that's more likely that you'll get in, that you can absolutely update that within their system when round 2 has started. So I wanted to include some resources for you here if you have further questions. The DPS Office of Choice and Enrollment Services is a great resource for you, and here's the phone number for them if you need to contact them if you're having trouble with your login or you are getting an error message like I was. Mine's probably honestly mostly related to the fake student that I created. You can also come into any DSST school during business hours and we will guide you through the process. We have laptops set up and we have staff available at our front desk to help you should you need help with completing it. You do not have to do this application on a laptop. It's just as easy to do on a mobile device, so you can do it from a web-enabled phone as well. Here at DSST, you can contact Brittany Merritt or myself, and there's our phone numbers. And then we have some resources on our website at dsstpublicsschools.org/school-choice-resources that may be able to help answer your questions as well. So if you still happen to have questions after watching this short video, you can always email me at tracy.gifford@scienceandtech.org or call me and leave me a message if you're not able to reach me directly at 303-524-6332. We want to thank you again for your time, and we wish you best of luck in your school choices. I do always tell families that I've been through this process myself with my 2 kids. I have an 11th grader and an 8th grader, both attending DPS schools. And most students, again, get their first choice. I've been through this process. I know it can be incredibly stressful and possibly a little frustrating, but just know that there are a lot of great schools and you will find the right one for your kid. I'm pretty confident about that. Thank you again for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.